before I put this on my nipple.
Oh, it's going to be that kind of podcast.
Okay. Threaten me with a good time.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the BREWDCAST. We're not going to talk about nipple clamps today.
Well,
that'll be the special bonus episode.
It's early. It's early, so who knows?
Yeah, you know. I am Bud Robinson. This is Leon. Hi, Leon. Say hi, Leon.
Hi, Leon.
I said my part wrong. I suck at this game. You are great at it. I suck. And this is Town Drunk. Hi, Town. Town, I definitely didn't murder anybody drunk.
Okay, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
I nailed it. Before we get too far, I in our Discord, I shared something that I wanted to talk about, assuming that the wrestling world did not explode. And then I watched Collision. And then we just had Dynamite. And holy fuck. I have not been this hyped about wrestling, even AEW, in a very, 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 very long time. I did not give a shit about Daniel Bryansonian versus Andrade El Idolo. It was a good match. The rest of that card on Collision, fucking awesome. Dynamite was fucking awesome.
I thought Dynamite was really fucking good tonight. Really fucking good.
Which did either of you watch Collision before we moved to Dynamite? Because I think there's a lot more to talk about with Dynamite, but I think...
Pieces. I saw pieces.
Okay.
I saw pieces.
I feel like I did, but I just don't recall anything. Yeah, I watched it this morning.
The thing that I enjoyed
I
most...
don't remember anything.
I personally think Collision, from a storyline perspective, this week has been stronger than it has been in months. Maybe ever. Like... They have set up... I have a fucking list. Like, I have 8 storylines that they're either setting up or, like, extending out, like, making more interesting. And I'm just blown away.
I was impressed tonight with the opening bit and all the shit that's going on around MJF.
Holy... Like, the first 30 minutes of Dynamite was just amazing.
It's smooth. Mm-hmm. It was just smooth. I was just sitting there like, holy fuck, they're doing a good job with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 30 minutes on one wrestler, common tactic for WWE, often gets boring. It did not. It did not.
Just because it included so many people.
Well, and they had 30 minutes with MJF, then they went to commercial. And then they had another, 2 minutes with Wardlow complaining about MJF. Like, he's got Wardlow, he's got Joe, he's got this devil guy. Like, there's just so much happening.
I've got a thought.
Yeah.
The guy to end MJF's reign is going to be Wardlow.
I could see it.
It would be poetic and appropriate.
You'd have to build them up a little bit. You can't do it like tomorrow.
That's my thing.
But I think I think long term, I think that would be the plan.
Wardlow's work thus far, since he came back from that hiatus, has been meh. It's just he goes to the ring, he kills somebody, and then he walks away.
I think that's the point, though.
Who gives a shit?
I think that's the point.
It's them trying to build him back up.
Yeah, but
make him a threat again.
It just bored me. And then they threw this promo out. I'm like, okay, I'm on board. Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's
the
keep
promo
doing
was
this.
good.
Like, it was a great
nothing
promo.
Nothing was bad. Nothing was bad tonight. Like, normally I watch something, I'm like, meh. But I thought everything was good. I want to see Orange Cassidy and Bryan Danielson have a legit 30-minute banger.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it would be...
Give him 60. Give him a whole show. And then they can take 6 months off. I think they
unless Daniel's hurt again. Unless Daniel's son is hurt again.
I think that was a work.
Do you?
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's just the way everybody reacted, so it looked like nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
And it looked so fucking awkward.
It did. Like, when it looked like... The weird thing about it was that, like, it seemed like some of the people in the situation were, like, concerned and, like, worried about him. But then there were, like Claudio was, like, working. He's like, get out of his... Like, he's, like, talking shit to Okada the whole time. And then they seemed to, like, cobble it together to... Hey, the best friends are going to fight Blackpool Combat Club at some point. I don't know. It could be work. It could be a mix. I don't think it's straight shoot. I think it's interesting.
It would work.
Well,
I think they're trying to do something. I think they're trying to talk about how Daniel Bryan gets hurt when he fights the Rainmaker, Okada. So I don't know.
Perhaps.
I'm just so exhausted. I shouldn't have watched Collision and Dynamite, and I had no way of knowing this, but like putting them both together was it was a lot. It was a whole lot.
Yeah, I did the same thing this morning.
It's a lot. And then I saw an image of Zack Sabre Jr. won. Oh God, I don't remember.
Zack Sabre Jr. won the Coliseum tournament put on by Pro Wrestling Australia, or PWA.
Definitely got a fucking sword. And I'm like, okay. Now we definitely need to see this. Yes. It sort of fits like perfectly for him. And now I absolutely need to see. We should see Daniel Bryan fight Zack Sabre Jr. for the sword. Or with the sword. Whatever.
Have you guys heard about Will Ospreay?
Mm-hmm.
He hired Barry Bloom and he's trying to go to the highest bidder.
Fuck it. Let him get paid.
I hope he gets paid. I just hope he doesn't go to the E because I think the E would not. I just don't think he fits there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they pay him enough money, they'll use him. But
I mean, look what they've done with Ricochet.
Nothing.
Yes, but look what they've done with Jade Cargill. She sits on a throne now.
Don't even bring it up. I don't even. I'm mad about that still.
I'm sorry, Tom.
I follow him. I fucking follow him on Instagram, and
You shouldn't.
They make the biggest fucking deal about shit, and it's like, oh my God, Jade Cargill sat on a fucking throne. I don't care. I spent 9 months bitching, not even more than that. Fucking years bitching about how boring she was on AEW. I don't give a fuck if she sits on the throne. Throne, I should say. I don't even give a. I don't care if she's taking a shit. Like, I don't care. I just don't care about her. I'm sorry.
I do want to.
She's done nothing. Okay. She's done nothing at all to make me give a fuck. And they're portraying her as this like huge star. And anyone that watched her in AEW is like, where the fuck were you? Like, what the fuck did you see that I didn't see? What part of it? They gave her a belt. They didn't know what to do with it. And she had shitty match after shitty match. And now she's on the level of like Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair?
Yes. Best of the best.
Come on.
Well, of course she is, because she was in All Elite Wrestling. But we don't talk about that. I will say, I want to give WWE some credit. I looked at the match card for Halloween Havoc, NXT. It's like, I don't know, 60, 70% women's matches.
Yep.
Like,
that's because it's night one. Night two's not.
Okay, but still.
Yep.
Miles past what AEW is doing. And
yep.
and I will grant the fact that AEW has a much smaller women's roster. Not much smaller, but like it's smaller. They don't have
it's a lot smaller. They just don't know how to book it as well.
They don't. And
that's just fact.
It's
WWE's way better at that. Way better. I also made the mistake of reading the fucking comments again. NXT's ratings were shitty, you know, and now everybody's like, well, it's not. They're not supposed to be good because they're a developmental brand. Da 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 da. You know, but then 2 weeks ago it was WWE's the best. You can't compete with them. And the same people now are like, "What? It's a developmental brand." It's just like, what the fuck?
Not to mention the fact that 2 months ago, those same people were probably harping on the fact that Nick Khan wanted to make it into a full-blown brand, not developmental, like a full-blown brand. And I'm like, you're right. Like, it's funny that it's a developmental brand when it's not doing so well.
But when it's doing great, it's WWE's the greatest thing ever. I don't know.
AEW is doing much
Monday
better.
Night Raw is doing good numbers, and Monday Night Raw's better. I still won't fucking watch it because, I got shit to do. But, it's doing better from what I see. They've got some people that are good. Like I think Gunther. I think everybody likes Gunther. Gunther's doing some cool shit.
Excuse me, you mean Gunther?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you both.
Then I look at like Seth Rollins, and I want to throw up a little bit in my mouth because he's like so fucking stupid.
He's obnoxious. I'll give you that.
He's obnoxious. He's dumb. He's a cock. He's a baby face, and it's like you're Mr. WWE. I just don't like that. I don't like that about him. I never have. I'm just not a big Rollins guy. He's good in the ring. But like he's never. I've never had a Seth Rollins match where I was like, "Oh my god, that was the greatest match I've ever seen." He's good for like one or two cool spots, and then it's like, "Yeah, okay, this is fine, whatever." It's not bad, but it's not like exceptional. I don't like Seth Rollins. Have I ever said that before?
Yes, a few times.
Okay.
I do find that like these guys who came up on the indies who wound up in there's exceptions, but like a lot of them wind up in WWE because WrestleMania and this is the place to be and like if you're good, this is where you wind up. This is where good wrestlers wind up. And I'm just like, that's just not the case anymore. It just isn't. Like you have NJPW, you have AEW to some extent. Like you have TNA, you have other places where these guys want to go. And these guys
TNA
do
again,
go.
don't call it Impact.
But it's not TNA until January.
All the same.
TNA, Impact, TNA. But like they have options. Like there are guys like Matt Cardona. Like he's fucking killing it doing GCW, indie shows. Like he's just bopping around, making a killing and having a fucking blast. Like, don't sit there and tell me that Matt Cardona would be better on the poster of WrestleMania because he'd be fucking miserable because he couldn't do this shit. The shit that he's doing right now.
He'd be Zack Ryder.
He'd be
in the opening match, getting pinned in like 8 seconds or some shit.
With asymmetrical pants.
I don't know. I think Triple H is doing better, but it's still WWE. Mm-hmm. And they still do some really bizarre, weird shit. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Like Cody Rhodes, it's the same thing. He's such an insufferable human being. I just don't care. Like I can't cheer for the guy because it's just like you talk and you say all this shit and then you go back on everything you say. Why should I believe anything you say? You're just full of shit. That's Cody Rhodes. And I don't think he's ever going to finish his story. I think he's...
It's a long story. His story is gonna end when he leaves. Like after he leaves, somebody else is gonna come back and say his story's over now, and that's gonna be the end of it. Speaking of, I could
see him going back to AEW and acting like he's like the hero's back, da 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 da, and then everybody's just like, yeah, no, we don't give a fuck.
Oh my god, you just came up with his line. You just came up with his line for him. The hero's back. I would probably watch for that actually. If he was a complete asshat,
the crowd would shit on it. The crowd would shit on it.
Probably. If he did it right, but
yeah,
he wouldn't do it right because he's very WWE. I don't know. He could do.
He is. That's what it is. He's very WWE.
He's a WWE guy.
You just sit there and you're just like, oh. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about Cody. It's hard. It's hard to care about Cody. It's hard to care about Seth Rollins. And they're so indoctrinated with like the WWE way and the WWE style, and you just watch them and you're like, yeah, you're okay, but fucking there's people that are better than you. You're not that good.
You're not Kenny Omega. Sorry, you're not MJ.
No,
you're not Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy should have been number one of the PWA 500, but that's okay. It's okay. I'm over
it. Danhausen isn't over it. Have you ever seen that clip of him talking about PWI, like in his basement?
Yes.
Oh my god, it's fucking.
Danhausen's fucking hilarious. He's coming back soon. I can't wait.
Dave Meltzer promised me a spot on PWI.
Number one. I thought Dynamite was good. I'm curious to see where Will Ospreay goes. if he goes to WWE, Tony Khan just spent like a year building up a guy to send to WWE.
Whatever. It wouldn't be the first time.
True.
And it's also not really a big deal. Like, ultimately,
I just don't know.
If Will Ospreay goes to WWE, you're going to have some people who watched his career go watch him in WWE. And some of those people will continue watching WWE. But I think the large percentage of us won't. Like, we might see the first couple of matches and then be like, well, this is kind of stupid. So
I don't know what those WWE fans are going to do if they sign Will Ospreay. Because they're going to have to tell us he's the greatest wrestler ever because he signed with WWE. But like 3 months ago, they were just calling him an idiot who can't work. He just takes stunts. He should be wrestling in a backyard or in a bar somewhere doing flips. He can't work at all. He doesn't understand anything about wrestling.
See, this is why I don't do the comments. That would make me so angry.
It's amusing though, because they're so dumb. People are dumb, especially wrestling fans, and they're so like they're loyalists to a fault. You know.
Yeah, we are.
I still can't get over the people that think like Roman Reigns could beat up John Jones.
No, I don't think so.
I'm just like he would die. He would fucking die. Well, no, he's a trained athlete. He's really strong. John Jones isn't that big. Then I'm like, John Jones, like, you're stupid. If you're a WWE fan and you believe that, you're fucking stupid. And I'm sorry.
Doesn't matter. Was it you that was telling me about I don't remember if it was you or like an article that I read about like one of the early UFC pay-per-views or whatever. They brought in this big sumo wrestler guy, and they had some tiny guy just came in and kicked his ass.
New karate. Wait, well, that's the thing is people just don't understand. Just like when, like people that think Roman Reigns would just beat the shit out of Conor McGregor. There's no fucking way.
No.
There's no Conor McGregor would hit him 96 times before he knew what happened. And that's not to knock Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns is a hell of an athlete. Sorry, Leon, but like
it's a different kind of athleticism.
Yeah, and really they're a different breed of human.
Mm-hmm.
They go out to like, hurt people, and WWE's not, you know.
I mean, like Daniel Bryan is trained in
WWE is putting on a show.
Exactly. But like even Daniel Bryan, like he is trained in kickboxing. He could not beat any of those guys because he's not trained in the same way.
CM Punk kind of showed that when he fought the bad guys in UFC and got murked. So
yeah.
But I just like this whole these WWE fans are so fucking dumb. And like I realize I'm generalizing. But they talk and they say shit and it's just like
blanket statements are bad, town.
How fucking stupid are you? How fucking stupid are you?
Hey, you know, stupid
like
people
I read another one. I read another really good one. Somebody was talking about something to do with football, and they were like, "Who the fuck was it?" It was oh god, I cannot remember who the fuck it was. It wasn't Braun Breaker. Who's the fucking NXT champion? Not the Russian guy sounding guy. Carmelo Hayes. Okay, so it's Carmelo Hayes.
No idea how I know that, but
okay, so they were talking about somebody in a wrestling comment talked about football and how popular Taylor Swift. This is the train of thought. So it was a wrestling thing. They were talking about popularity. The person said, you know, you got to catch things that are hot, kind of like Travis Kelce, the Kansas City Chiefs, and Taylor Swift. And somebody's like, well, football players don't impress me that much. And the other person was like, what? What are you talking about? Well, Carmelo Hayes could play football. Just he'd be a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. It's obvious. And then somebody's like, wait, what? How did you jump to this fucking conclusion? And it just makes your brain hurt. They're so dumb. They believe it. They legitimately fucking believe that shit. Leon's broke. I broke Leon now.
He does kind of look broken.
Like Patrick Mahomes. This is not a football podcast. Patrick Mahomes right now is the best quarterback in football. And it's like not even close. That fucking guy can throw a ball. He can do everything. He's an amazing football player. Do you think a guy like Carmelo Hayes, who does not play football, could go on a football field and be better than Patrick Mahomes? You're an idiot.
In much the same way that many football players tried to get into wrestling
and can't.
It's just a completely
because
different skill set.
It's not the same
It's
thing.
not the same thing.
But that's my WWE fan thing for the day. It's just real. They make you laugh, but then it's just you get sad.
I have this image of like people like that going and seeing like a stat like for individual athletes that's just athleticism, and it's like if you're 96, then you can do any athlete thing that you want. You can be a football player, you can be a karate boxer, because I made that up. Why not?
I like that. We should open our own karate boxing federation. I don't know what the fuck it is, but
it's like kickboxing but stupider.
Lacey brings you karate boxing.
One guy's
I'm a karate box the crap out of you, town.
Leon in town, put gloves on and do karate. Don't touch each other, just wear gloves to do karate. Performance art.
I love it.
You ever do karate in the garage?
I would do karate in the garage with you, Leon, yeah.
That sounds sexual. Is that a sex thing? Are we talking about
sex
now?
No, it's Step Brothers.
Oh, right. Okay. Not a sex thing.
Yeah, get your mind out of the gutter there.
Impossible.
Be a proper lady.
Did you meet me yesterday? That's not going to change.
I mean,
That's where her mind lives.
You've got shit you want to talk about.
I do. I wanted to make a crack about the fact that that Ric Flair showed up in AEW of all places, and he did not look a day over 153.
He looked like he looked so drunk, and when Christian came out and tore into him, I was dying. I thought it was amazing.
I think my personal favorite part was when Christian was like, "Yeah, sure, make Ric Flair your partner for this," and Sting is like, "We'll find a partner." And
he's a super kick away from his pacemaker falling out and he'll turn to dust.
I feel like Ric Flair was like, "I'm here, so now I'm gonna wrestle, right? And Sting just dashed his plans. He's like, "Oh." I feel like he was sad after that.
I don't know how I feel about Flair showing up. I mean, it was a pop.
I think it was just a thing.
I don't want him to come back.
I don't like it. I guess it would be kind of neat.
No, I don't want him to come back. It was a nice moment.
Let it be. Don't come back. He's not. He shouldn't be on TV.
No. Like, it'd be neat if he like stood in the corner of Sting during a few of his matches.
Nope.
That's about it.
If he's out there, he's getting involved, and then
It's
it's going to look like shit.
Yeah, he needs to not be anywhere near a wrestling ring. Come out, do your thing.
That's fair.
He might have shot him. Like, I'll be here, blah blah blah, and then Tony Khan's like, fuck, no.
I did.
The pop was cool.
I heard the pop, and then Sting started talking. I'm like, fuck, are you going to tell us that he's your match? I swear to God, do not make him your match. Do not. It's got to be Darby, right?
I mean, that would have been funny.
It's got to be Darby.
It's got to be like,
It's got to be Darby. I don't know if Darby turns on him. I don't know.
I think it's just a respect thing. I think you just have two guys. Like, Darby is running this whole thing right now where he's like, I still stand behind AR Fox because he raised, like, he made me the wrestler I am, even though he did all this shit to me. And I imagine that he'll probably be the same with Nick Wayne. And I think, like, they're building up this attitude with Darby that he's like, you know what? It's all about respect. It's all about just like going out there and leaving it all out there. And I don't care if you turn on me.
My only question and my only concern with that is can Sting handle being in the ring by himself without a tag team partner? Can he
Darby,
do that
I think
much?
he could. I think Darby could make him look real good in that match.
That would be my only concern. And I think Darby's a choice. I think you have Darby beat him and then they do it's kind of the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair thing, the first time Ric Flair retired. Or the third time. 8th time?
12th.
That time he retired at the WrestleMania. Yeah.
I think it should be 10 to 12 minutes tops.
Yeah, I don't think
you can't go long.
It shouldn't be very long.
Can't go long. They did a really good job of Sting in that company, and it's impressive.
He looks super good. Like,
losing him is going to hurt more than they realize. I got one question I have is what the fuck are we doing with Edge?
I don't know. I kind of don't care. Like, I'm so invested in the rest of the storylines that they're doing right now that I'm just like, whatever.
This show, that piece of the show, like with Adam Copeland, it just died. He's just not. I like the part with Sting where Sting got in his face, but it's like, it's just not clicking for me with him.
It's just kind of flat right now. I think it's.
You know,
I think the problem is he's got like Christian has other shit going on, so like you can't put the focus on him and Christian.
Christian might be the greatest thing on TV. I am telling you, the only thing that I want is I want like a 2-month long MJF Christian feud. That's all I want.
I would be fine with that
Because that would be off the charts.
Yeah. How well would that work? Because MJF's father is still alive.
You make a valid point. Christian would be out of fodder. He'd be like, "Fuck, what am I gonna do?"
His shit with Flair tonight was so good. He's amazing. It pisses me off that they never ran with him in like 2005.
Yeah.
That pisses me off because he was so when he was Captain Charisma back then.
I think he's better.
And he had.
I think he's better because they didn't.
Do you remember when he had Tyson Tomko?
Oh God, yes.
And Tyson Tomko was like just useless and stupid, but like Christian used him perfectly, and it was so amazing.
He was the problem solver.
Yeah. Christian rapped a couple days, never ran with him. That's so disappointing. They treated him so bad in that company. Now he's like 50, and it's just like, holy fuck, is that guy good?
He's a king. He's doing great. Like, I honestly think that flying under the radar for so as long as he did, and his time in TNA gave him all of what he's working with right now. Like, it helped him create that character. Because if he would have stayed in WWE, if they would have given him the focus that they gave Edge, he would look a lot like Edge. Sort of like, this is cool, but like, I don't really care that much. He has that depth because he was able to like spread his wings elsewhere.
Are we going to talk about the thing that you actually
let's talk about so let's back up in my notebook, not what we're talking about. So I think last week
I backed up. Now what do I do?
Forward and then right.
Come closer. Closer.
So last week ish there was this is perfect.
I took out my microphone.
That's what you get for fooling around. You fool around too much.
Tomfoolery.
There was an article.
Leon Foolery.
It wasn't an article. It was a news story that said CM Punk was in TNA. Not like in TNA. Although some people tried to spin it that way, which was hilarious.
Backstage.
But he was backstage and he was hanging out with the talent. And like from what I understand, he spent more time with the talent than he did with the person who he actually presumably came to see and like hang out with, which is Ace Steel. I have many thoughts, but I am curious to know, what do you all think about the idea, Leon, I know a little bit of what your idea is, about the idea of CM Punk going to TNA?
I don't care.
Okay. I mean, that's
I don't
fair.
think I'm going to care. I'm so done with him, and I'm so just... He knows what he's doing, and he knows how to get attention, and it's just like, great, cool.
I don't know that this was him trying to get attention. I think this was more him like not giving a fuck about being in a place where people are going to see him. Like, because if somebody sees him in TNA, they're going to be like, "Oh shit, he signed with TNA," and I think Phil is smart enough to just be like, "Yeah, that's going to happen," and I don't care. Like, I'm going anyway because he did that. He did that after he left WWE too. He went to indie shows and like he has this notorious story where he would like go and wrestle a guy. I think it was like a couple of years before he left or before he came back to AEW. Like he would go and wrestle guys in indie shows under a mask. Like there's a wrestler who wrote an article about it recently. He's like, I had no idea I fought CM Punk. So I think he has the passion for wrestling. Just like I don't think AEW is clearly not the place.
Which is unfortunate because it feels like such a fit.
It does, and I totally get what you're saying, Town. Like it makes, this is weird. It makes perfect sense to not care at this point because he's burned AEW.
He's also burned WWE. He burned Impact once before, and he's burned just about every fucking bridge he's been across.
I mean, he was Impact. I don't know that he burned it.
He got into a fight. He was pissed about how they were booking him and told me he's never going to work for him again. They're pieces of shit. That's a long time ago. That's like 04.
That was when he was with Mickey James and
Raven, right?
There's a fourth, but I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, and he just got pissed at them and fucking left.
Which, I mean, that's him. Like,
I think there's a few things going on, and I think it's all psychological. I think he's bitter. I think he's pissed. I think he's pissed about how his WWE run ended. Like the whole last year he was there. I think he's pissed. I think he's still pissed about the fact he didn't get that Mania main event. I think he's pissed about AEW that his vision of AEW didn't coincide with the vision that everyone else had, and he lost out because he thought he was going to come there and do whatever the fuck he wanted. I think he's bitter, and I think he's got this idea of, I'm the biggest star. If I go somewhere else, if I go to TNA, TNA is going to matter.
I mean, potentially, if he even has interest. I will say,
I don't think it will.
I did have a thought.
I don't think he moves the needle. I don't think he moves the needle that much.
I mean, maybe
for TNA,
but I
don't think he does.
When AEW still was but a thought in Tony Khan's brain, like he wanted CM Punk there. And I thought about that, and I feel like had Punk come in when AEW was born, we would have had his vision of what AEW could be would be much more ingrained. But instead what happened is he came in 3-4 years later. They were already establishing their vision. You have these guys in the elite and people who came from Japan with these ideas of what Japanese wrestling is and westernizing it, and that's a part of AEW. And then you have Mox, who has his part of AEW. You have all of these individuals who have left their thumbprints on AEW, and it looks a certain way. And I don't think CM Punk's vision of what wrestling is just doesn't fit there. Had he been there from the beginning, he could have made it fit there. We could have had a space for it. But if you look at most people who talk about when CM Punk came in, there was a bunch of people who said, I don't know if this is actually true, that Rampage was going to be his show, and that kind of flopped. They didn't really do anything with that. And so then they got Collision.
They did for a bit.
I suppose. And then it was Collision was going to be his show, and it was. But it was not. It was a completely different show, and it was not. It didn't really fit with AEW. So I kind of see that, and I'm had he been there from the start, yeah, we could have seen that a little bit more cohesively. But he wasn't. He missed out. And I think that, as we've said multiple times,
I think a big part is just the Tony Khan fanboying, and I think
yeah. That was another thing. I think if Tony Khan would have been able to see this as a business endeavor and not hey, I'm a really big fan of CM Punk, he would have been able to see that. And he wouldn't have been hey, Collision is your show, or hey, Rampage is your show. You can't do that.
I don't think I care anymore.
Okay. I mean, you don't have to.
I go back and I watch his debut on Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
And it was possibly one of the greatest fucking moments ever in wrestling. I'm struggling to think of something as absolutely fucking incredible than that. But I watched the entrance, okay? When I watched the promo, if you just take that promo that happened on that day and you just listen to the promo wasn't that good. The promo was a little flat. That promo was just kind of like it didn't feel genuine. It kind of felt like I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna play nice, I'm gonna do what I want to do type of thing. Like, go back and listen to that promo. It's not what you think it is. It's not this incredible moment. The moment is the music hitting, that crowd going fucking nuts, him coming out. When he starts to cut the promo, it's just kind of like, okay, the promo isn't what I thought it would be. I remember thinking that at the time in the promo. I don't think it aged well, and I think if you go back and watch it, you're just kind of like, okay. And I think being gone for 7 years, he lost track of what this business is. And I think he lost his fingers aren't on the pulse of it anymore. And that fucking happens as you get older. That's called life.
I will agree with you to a point. I think that his vision of wrestling does still exist. It doesn't exist in AEW. I think it does exist in TNA, and I think there are indies out there that it does exist, which is why I think like the idea of him being in TNA is very interesting to me, because I think Leon, before I get into that, I think I want to talk about like what Leon said on our chat. I think your words were, "Oh God, no," to which I thought you just don't want to see him again. Like, he's pissing me off a lot. But what you elaborated and said, I don't want to watch TNA, like, because TNA is, you're right. Like, for very, 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 very long, it has been god awful, and it's getting better. It's changing. I think it's evolving. I don't know how many people would watch it just because Punk is on it. I would probably watch it to see what he can do, because I think if Punk were to be in TNA, that would be a situation where he is giving a lot of creative input. He is like working with Scott D'Amore as opposed to, working on the other side of the room from Scott D'Amore, where he, in the same way that he was doing with Tony Khan. It's an interesting thought. Like, will he do it? I don't know. Probably not, because they don't have that kind of money. The big caveat there would be like, if he comes in and if he's still passionate about wrestling and he wants to come in and do something for that company, he's got to take a huge pay cut. But then he's going for passion, not for money, and I think that's a big difference. Go ahead, Town.
What's going to be the difference? He had creative control with Collision, and people pissed him off, kicked him off the show. How is it going to be any different? What track record do we have to say anything's going to be different if he does go there and does the same thing, or is it going to end up the same way?
I mean, my opinion.
The track record now is totally burnt out in WWE, pissed everybody off, fucked people over. They don't want him back. Went to AEW, created more problems than they could ever imagine. They don't want him back.
My opinion.
What's the difference going to be in TNA?
I do not know if this is absolutely the case, but in my opinion, it seems as though the roster in TNA is more receptive to him. Like, AEW is not as receptive to him. Like Tony Khan was. There were people in AEW, but like, you look at the Elite, they weren't going to work with him.
What happens if there's a guy on that show that he tells something to, and the guy doesn't want to do it because he has his own idea and goes out there and does his thing, and then Punk bitches him out in the back and they get into a fight?
Oh. Then they get into a fight and he gets fired. I'm not saying
that's kind of what Punk is.
Okay, but
I get what you're saying. Completely understand what you're saying. I'm just looking at Punk going, we did this. We already did this. We already gave him that power.
I guess I'm not looking at it from the standpoint of, wouldn't it be cool to see Punk wrestle again? I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, I look at AEW, and AEW has a very specific look and feel and vibe, as does WWE. Punk didn't fit in either of those places. I think that he fits better in TNA and would have more to offer to TNA, assuming that he's passionate and that he's actually going to work with them, as opposed to just get pissed whenever. Like, if he's just going to be a dick the whole time, don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it. I said this when he came into AEW. I was like, if you are coming back, come back for the right reasons. Like, come back because you want to wrestle. Come back because you want to do cool stories, not because it's a good paycheck or whatever the fuck, or you're trying to prove a point, or you're just like the principle of the thing. Like, don't do that. Come in for the right reasons. And I think of all the places he could potentially go, if he even has any inkling of wanting to do it, TNA looks the nicest to have him in it. And it would be interesting to me to see what he could do with a company that is getting some ground. Like, they're gaining some ground. Not a lot. They fell real far.
What about NWA?
No.
They got a TV show.
Yeah, but Billy Corgan is like...
I can't see him getting along with Billy.
That is
I can't see him getting along with fucking anybody. It's not who he is.
Billy would be at the bottom of that list, though, of people he's going to get along with.
I can see that. I can see that.
Town, and much of the internet. And I'm going to generalize you into this because I think your opinion of CM Punk is a little bit more... That's fair. Is a little more nuanced than the rest of the internet. But I think a lot of the internet looks at what happened with CM Punk and paints him as just an asshole who was there for money. And I don't know that that's the case.
I don't think he's an asshole who was there for money. Okay. I think he loves wrestling. Mm-hmm. I just don't think he has any good interpersonal skills and the ability to resolve any fucking conflicts. That's how I see Punk. Okay. I don't the money piece. No, I don't think he's hunting for money. I think he knows what he's worth, and I think he wants to be paid fair, and that's fine. And he was a huge boost for them, but he cannot.
And a huge merch mover.
Mm-hmm. He can't handle any fucking conflict. None. He just starts punching people in the face and throwing chairs, and then Ace Steel bites people. This is hilarious. This is fucking hilarious. Because when it first happened, you were adamant that he should leave the business and never come back, and I'm like, he needs another shot. We've completely flipped 180 on this. It's fucking hilarious.
I'm saying the same thing that I said in AEW. If he wants to come back, he needs to do it for the right reasons. And he cannot come back to TNA for a paycheck. He can't because TNA can't afford him. He's making 15 to 20 times more than their top stars are right now. On the flip side, Scott
D'Amore... If I'm TNA and I sign this guy and it doesn't work, I could go bankrupt.
I don't know.
If I pay him what he wants.
If
I pay him what he wants,
that's the thing. He can't take what he wants. This is exactly what I'm saying. Like, he can't go there for money. He cannot. If he's going there, he has to go there for a reason outside of a paycheck, or even like going for what he's worth, because he can't.
I guess I have a question. I have a question about CM Punk. Does he ever go into the WWE Hall of Fame?
Doubtful.
Oh fuck! I don't know. There would be people who would fight for him right now. No, but we also thought that Bruno Sammartino would never go in, and that happened several hundred years after the fact. Okay, I'm exaggerating. It wasn't that long, but
yeah. Does he or do they have to wait for him to die?
That was all Hunter.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Hunter is good with it, but does Hunter want to repair that relationship?
I mean, I could see Sean fighting for him. Not Trips.
I don't know.
Trips.
I don't know. I look at. He's a frustrating guy because he's so talented, but he's just. He gets so fucking mad and he cannot resolve anything anywhere, and he just gets pissed and talks and runs his mouth and does shit and pisses people off. So I'm sitting here and that just concerns me because a company like TNA, they're not as stable as AEW. They're not as stable as WWE. If he goes in there and fucks around and people get pissed at them like they did AEW and they lose half their television audience, they're done. Like, they don't have the same safe nets that like AEW or WWE have. So just that would be my concern for them. Do I think he could do some cool shit? Yeah. Do I think his head is in the right spot for the business? No. I really don't.
No, probably not.
I really, really don't.
I think what you said about interpersonal skills is spot on. Like, because I don't think he's a miserable prick who just like can't get along with anybody. But I think he does have a lot of issues with conflicts.
When there's any conflict, he cannot handle it. Probably his upbringing. Now we're playing psychologist.
Why not?
But, you know, we
started with nipple clamps. Let's finish with psychologizing everybody.
I don't think psychologizing is a word. But
definitely not.
Yeah, I don't know. If he does it for the right reasons, great. But you got to walk around eggshells with that guy. And if he tells you something, you just got to shut up and do it. Because if you do something the way he doesn't want it done, then he's going to call you an empty-headed fuck.
That is fair.
You know, and he's going to get mad and he's going to call you out. And then if you call him back out or say anything about him, then he might punch you or choke you or throw a chair into your face. So those are things you got to watch out for. Or he might have Ace still bite you. I don't know. So I just think he's a very talented guy. He's a very creative guy. He's got a lot of things he can do. Be done. It's time to be done. This business is just not for you.
I've never said that he. Yeah, I know. I have never said that he shouldn't be in AEW, but I have always said that he needs to be there for the right reasons.
Yeah, and
maybe
he was.
I am still intrigued at the possibilities of CM Punk, and perhaps he can find a home where he can actually do what he wants to do. I don't think it's NWA. It's clear that it's not AEW. Could it be WWE? God, I hope not, but maybe.
I wonder though if Tony Khan could bring this is fucking going out on a fucking ledge here, but if Tony Khan could bring him back, but gain that locus of control that, hey, I'm the one calling the shots. I'll pay you what you want, but here's how it's going to go. I could see that happening in like 2 years.
I don't want to see that.
I don't either.
I don't.
But
then
it's all going there. It's all going to. I don't know. I don't think. I just don't really want to see him. I don't care. It was so. His AEW run was so disheartening and so disappointing. It's like. I just don't want to see more of it. It's like
I get that too. Like being hurt.
It's almost like Ric Flair. It's almost like Ric Flair, but different because you watch Ric Flair's last match and you're just like, for the love of fucking God, stop. Please just stop. And it's the same way with Punk. It's just like, dude.
Come on. That is not the same thing.
Yeah, it's different.
It's different, but it's not.
It's really different.
It is, but it isn't, because it's still that same piece of like...
No, but like Ric Flair is old as fuck, and he thinks he can still go like a 20-year-old, and he fucking can't.
Yeah.
But CM Punk knows who he is, knows what he can do.
But CM Punk cannot handle anything, and you're watching this shit unfold, and you're just like, please, for the love of God, fucking stop. Just,
well, I mean, that part of it I'll agree with, yeah.
That's the part I'm talking. I'm not comparing him his in-ring work or anything like that. So, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to see it. Do you have anything else?
I mean, I wanted to talk more about the first 30 minutes of Dynamite, but I don't remember now what I wanted to talk about. How about the fact that Juice's blood in his beard was fucking gross? And also, first of all, I just wanted to point out that Collision was in Memphis. Dynamite was in Philly. That was that's fucking wild that they lined that up so well. But more importantly than that, like, was it just me, or was MJF giving off really, really strong Bubba Ray vibes during his match tonight? Like, he would, like, I don't know, he was, the way he was interacting with the fans, he was throwing the guy around. There was like a part where he like threw Juice over this table and he grabbed a water bottle and spit in the guy's face. Like that's classic dickhole Bubba Ray, not WWE Bubba Ray. Like, TNA or ECW even.
That's Rock. Rock did that in the WWE all the time.
Okay, fine, but Bubba Ray did it too.
Yeah.
The Rock doesn't.
I did not get Bubba Ray from anything he did.
Okay. Well, you're wrong, but that's fine.
My opinion can't be wrong, but okay.
I'm kidding.
He's transitioned to a full-on babyface.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Which is what we talked about so long ago. And we talked about how that's what they needed to do, and they did it, and they did it so subtly. And it wasn't like, boom, he's face. It was just kind of like this slow build. And he still doesn't act like a face, but now he's a face.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been great.
The big thing that is sticking out to me right now is the fact that he was working like 4, 5, 6 shows a year, and now ever since I think it was All In, he's like working constantly. Like he worked.
He can work.
He worked. What did he work? Collision? I don't think he worked Collision, but he worked tonight. He's going to work Collision. He's going to be at.
I think we don't realize. I think we don't realize how smart this guy is sometimes, and how he knows how to get under the skin with his kids.
And he's evolving. He's not done. He's not done. Like he's still evolving.
When he gets to WWE, he'll be ready to go. He'll have a compelling feud with the Miz. That's the feud he needs to have. That's a dream feud. Miz and MJF.
Okay, so we gotta go, folks. It's been great.
Fucking internet fans again.
This has been the Brood Show.
Yeah.
When MJF comes to the WWE, he's got a feud with the Miz. And then somebody else is like, you realize he's probably not coming to WWE. Well, yeah, he is. Why wouldn't he come to WWE?
Because that's the place where you go. That's where all the best ones go. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to.
I love it. I fucking love it. I love it.
Like, there's a lot of great names that went through WWE. Don't get me wrong, but like,
a lot of bad ones too.
It's a different era. It's a
Giant Gonzalez, Papa Shango, Luther Reigns.
Hey! You leave Papa Shango alone.
The Papa Shango gimmick was really poor. But he did make the Warrior throw up, which is kind of cool. Nails was pretty bad.
Oh, God.
I want to say Tugboat, but I secretly love Tugboat.
Okay.
I love that character.
He's sort of ridiculous.
Some of those gimmicks that were so bad they were good, like the fucking Repo Man.
Oh, God, yes, the Repo Man.
I listened to a shoot
IRS.
interview. I listened to a shoot interview with Barry Darsow, who was the Repo Man.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his idea because he wanted to be totally different from Smash and Demolition. Because like Demolition, man, they butchered Demolition at the end. That feud with the Road Warriors could have been so good, but instead it was like really bad. Anyways, he went to Vince and he's like, I got an idea for a character. I'll start out as a heel. I'll be the Repo Man and I'll steal stuff. And then eventually I'll be so over the top and goofy, I'll slowly turn face and I'll start to steal stuff from like bad guys. And like he laid it out. It was no. Like if you heard him talk about it, he was gonna be like a Robin Hood.
I mean, I could actually see that making sense.
Yeah,
it would have fucking worked. Like the way he was talking about it would work. Then he's like, I go to Vince after 6 months, and he's like, we did this for a little bit. I'm not getting the reactions. I think it's time to turn me face. Vince was like, nope, not yet. So 9 months I go, a year and a half I go, and I talk to Vince. I'm like, hey, are you ever going to turn me face? Because like I'm not doing anything. And Vince is like, nope, you're a heel. This character's a heel. I never see his face, so we're not going to do it. So that's when he left. And I'm sitting there like, if you'd have turned him face, that would have worked.
That would have been a lot of fun.
That's just like Doink the Clown as a heel.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. As a babyface. Was really bad.
I mean, that you're kind of agreeing with Vince on the Repo Man.
No,
with that,
Repo Man should have been a face.
Yeah, but with that comparison, I'm just saying that it sounds like you're saying that Vince was right to keep them as a heel because he was good as a heel.
Doink was, but Repo Man was not. Repo Man would have been a face. Doink hit Crush with a car battery. And it was the coolest thing I ever saw as a kid. I remember never liking the bad guys till I watched Doink do that, and I was like, I kind of like that clown. He had on the fake cast, and he acted like Crush broke his arm, and he's trying to give him a flower, and Crush is like this. He turns around, he's got the flower. He pulls a fucking car battery out, hits him in the back of the head with a car battery. I'm just like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was the peak of television for me. It also helped that the guy playing Doink at the time was pretty good.
What I'm also hearing is that CM Punk should come back and he should reprise the role of Repo Man. Is that
he should hit Kenny Omega with a car battery.
Not Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins.
Yes, I need that. I need that.
Do you hate
Please.
Leon? Do you hate Kenny too, or just the Bucks?
No, I don't hate Kenny. Kenny's
Oh, you just hate the Bucks.
Kenny's pretty fantastic. I just think that would be a hell of a moment.
Do you know? Do you know
It would
who
be
else? Do you know who else hates the Bucks like the same amount that you do?
Corny.
Yeah, you and Corny are pretty much the same person.
That's a jump.
It's so rude. Like, I like Kenny, so no. He calls Kenny fucking Twinkle Toes.
Oh no, it's worse than there's a whole there's something else, some other part to it. I don't care. Jim Cornette
Ballerina and shit.
die in a hole.
No, he fucking hates Kenny. We are not the same person.
He hates the Young Bucks too. He also hates he hates Orange Cassidy. He hates Danhausen. Fucking hates Danhausen.
Good.
So I agree with him on one thing, and I'm the same person.
Don't
That's
act like you were all sold on Orange Cassidy, because when you started watching AEW,
Well, it took me a while.
you were pretty negative towards Orange Cassidy. This character's fucking stupid.
Well,
He's too small. He's too
He has changed
small.
the character, though.
He's too small.
No, it was never too small. Fuck you. It was never too small. It was just I didn't like the gimmick of, oh, he doesn't do anything until somebody takes his glasses. Like, I didn't like that. But, like, he actually wrestles. Like, he still does the sloth style stuff, but he actually wrestles now. And it's not that you have to take his glasses before he does anything, which I would like. And the way it's evolved, it's very good.
I think that's
the
a fair
initial thing when AEW first started. I didn't like it, admittedly. But dude has changed up the character, he's changed up his work, and it has 100% won me over.
I don't think he changed his work at all. I think he just actually started working. I think that would be the correct term. I think that was done. I think that was done on purpose. I think with Orange it was done on purpose because he was getting such reactions by doing nothing that they just kind of rode that out. And they slowly built him up, and they did a really good job with it. I think Orange is Tony Khan's best build right now.
Probably.
He's been most successful with him.
Is it him or is it Hangman?
No, because Hangman was kind of a made man already.
Okay.
But I would say Orange. I would say because Orange was pretty unknown.
Okay.
And he started literally from, he was like a manager.
Oh. He was.
Now he
was like a side character manager thing for best friends.
No, he's way more.
Now it's them in the background with him out front.
Is he turning heel?
Nah.
He's acting more aggressive.
Yeah.
Nah.
I think that's
him and Mox. Him and Mox got to have another match.
Absolutely, they do.
They got to have another match.
It needs to be a death match. I think it needs to be the thing you talked about last week. I think it's like they need to have a match. It's got to be very close, but Mox wins, and then finally, Orange is like, "I need my title back. We're gonna have a death match."
Yep.
Texas.
Then he beats him.
Texas death match. Yes.
Texas. Yeah.
Vermont death match.
With lots of cheeses and wine. And Bernie shows up for some reason.
A New Mexico death match.
Oh, I'm not gonna rib on that one because I feel like it's just gonna wind up being racist.
Oh, bud. A Minnesota death match fought on a lake.
Oh yeah!
Oh god! Like, legitimate death match. Because if you step on the wrong ice, then
with some hot fish.
Oh man! Do we have anything else we need to chitty chat about?
We don't.
Chitty chat.
This has been the BREWDCAST. We hardly talked about nipple clamps at all. I am Bud Robinson. This has been Leon in town, and we are
Disappointment.
getting the fuck out of here.
I was Thomas Nipple Clamp.